Jury has been set in the trial of former North Charleston officer Michael Slager. Slager on trial for the shooting death of Walter Scott.
Now, the jury consists of 6 white men, 5 white women, and 1 black man. The alternates consist of 2 white men, 2 white women, and 2 black women.
Once the jury was set, Judge Clifton Newman heard a flurry of motions from the defense team and the prosecution. News 2's Rebecca Collette has been in court all day, joins us now with the decisions made today ahead of opening statements. Rebecca.
Brendan, good evening. It took more than 3.5 hours to get through these motions. There were more than 20 of them. The most discussed in court there were 2 of them really. One changing the venue of the trial and the other dismissing the indictment against Michael Slager. The judge dismissed both of those. The defense wanted to move the trial based on the expansive media coverage and potentially formed opinions of the jury. As for dismissing the charge, Andy Savage argues Slager faced an indictment in federal court and therefore is facing double jeopardy, cruel and unusual punishment, and lacks due process to handle both cases. The defense again lost those arguments. Other issues that came up, showing the video of the shooting, which we mentioned to you yesterday, the defense says they will address that issue once it's formally offered as evidence in the trial. Many of the other issues revolved around the language that would be used in court. Those issues included calling Walter Scott a victim, which the judge will allow, and limiting the mention of Slager's federal indictment, limiting the use of the word homicide. The judge will also allow that word to be used, not mentioning the Scott family settlement, which both sides agreed they wouldn't, and sequestering witnesses. The judge says he'll decide that in the morning. Other issues that we're expecting to come up during trial that were presented today but will be addressed later includes if the jury will visit the site where the incident happened and limiting the state's closing argument. As for what we're expecting to happen tomorrow, we're expecting the jury to report here at 9 a.m., be sworn in, and then the trial to be underway. Brendan?
Yeah, Rebecca, certainly we've heard a lot today about the motions and the other considerations in the courtroom, but there certainly was a bit of controversy when it surrounds the jury selection. What happened?
Yeah. So there was a big question. It's called a Batson challenge. Well, if you're not a lawyer, let me explain what that means. It basically, the prosecution believed that some of the strikes that the defense used were racially motivated. As you mentioned, Carolyn and Brendan, at the top of our newscast, there was only 1 black man that will actually sit as part of the jury. And the defense used 9 of their 11 strikes. 7 of them were on minorities, so the defense had to give a reason for each of those strikes. The defense gave reasons like educational experience, language barrier. For some of them, English isn't their first language. One person had made anti-gun statements. Another was the colleague of the medical examiner at the Medical University of South Carolina. And then another still was quoted in an article about Scott. So once the defense laid out these reasons for why they strike certain potential jurors, the solicitor accepted those reasons, and then we moved forward with finalizing the list of jurors.
Collette downtown covering the Michael Slager